Hey traders, it's Greg from Trade90X, and this video I'm going to do today is we're going to do, I had a request to do something on our Trade90X kind of swing trading, and this kind of also will lend itself also for position trading, but let's jump in and let's get to it. So again, I'm just going to go down here. If you have any questions after we're done, always hit us up at hello@trade90x.com. Also, when you sign up at hello@trade90x.com, make sure that you receive your Trade90X free journal and checklist. Also, make sure while it's available, take advantage of our Trade90X Instagram page profile. You can go there and book a 15-minute free call and ask us anything about what you learned here. All right, so let's go. Let's jump in. So again, our Trade90X swing trading, I like to call it edge. There we go. So in order to succeed, again, I talk about this all the time. You have to have a strategy, a process that's simple, replicable, repeatable, and it must prove to have a consistent edge. Now, we've created something called the Earn the Right to Trade Live process, and it always includes education, back testing, support, and accountability. That support and accountability is what's going to actually take you to the next step. Because again, I find with most people, if you just give them information, maybe 1% of them will figure it out, but most people, they need that support and accountability. Now, remember what I talk about. If you've been watching my morning reviews or weekend or monthly reviews, I talk about the same thing. And this goes whether we're scalping, day, swing, or position trading. Number one, you got to have a strategy that you can prove has consistency. You got to know your numbers. Okay, so when we talk about knowing numbers, I'm going to go here. And again, make sure you check out also coming our Trade90X video, Know Your Numbers Masterclass. Okay. Now, bottom line is for active trading, day, scalp, swing, we don't risk more than 0.5 to 2% of our capital per trade. We do not risk more than 3 to 5% of our capital in a session. And we focus on risk reward minimums of 2 to 1 and higher. Okay, so let's go back here. And next, again, you need to understand what type of trading suits your personality, time, and resources. And again, we're talking about swing trading. So swing trading is going to be more relaxed, a little bit slower, especially also if you have a job or part-time. Swing trading is an excellent opportunity to start, with the marketplace. Now, the other thing also is you want to know some quick key information, which we'll go look at in a second. And the only things that I care about, again, I don't care what asset class you trade. I don't care, again, whether it's penny stock, futures, forex. It doesn't matter to me. The questions are all the same. Number one, do you understand market context, the main trend versus that shorter term trend? And I'll show you in the charts in a minute. Who has control? Bulls, bears. Now I'm focusing on bullish and bearish momentum, but again, I need to understand who has control. Is it bulls, bears, or do we have range context? Is it obvious who has control? Bulls, bears, or range context? Do you know what bullish, bearish, or range contexts look like? I mean, you'll learn that in the Earn the Right to Trade Live process. And then also, do you understand what a high probability A setups looks like? And again, we're looking at bullish, bearish momentum. And then do you know when to sit on hands where there's no edge, choppy price action, which happens 50% of the time? And again, using our key tools will help us. And again, I'm always looking for, when I'm talking about bullish and bearish, I'm looking for strong momentum legs into pullback and pauses. Okay. Now, the symbols, the ones that we like to trade, I like to trade the same symbols over and over. It doesn't matter if I'm scalping, day, swing, or position. Now, if you prefer to build a watch list or, trade, other symbols, make sure they're back tested. And if you're going to do that, make sure you've watched our Trade90X watch list edge video masterclass, and that's the new one is going to be coming out shortly. All right, let's go back to this. So now that we understand what we're looking for as far as a strategy, the things that we're going to look for, the symbols. Now, I always recommend for charting, TradingView, and then brokerage, Thinkorswim, Tastyworks, Interactive Brokers, NinjaTrader, Fidelity. I use for Fidelity for retirement accounts. Okay, those are the ones that we use. I have no association. Now, monitors, I like to use 2 to 3. I like to always have 3. And for me, I want to have one with brokerage firm up at all time. And then the other 2, I have some odds enhancers on one screen. And then I have the charts that I want to trade. Everything's right in front of me. And I promise you, if you're going to start using 4, 6, 8, monitors, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have FOMO and you're going to be looking at too much. You're going to be missing trades. I know because I went through it. And then always before I do, any type of trading, well, please discuss with your financial advisor about risking capital. Then also make sure you have 6 to 12 months of emergency funds. And then, as I talked about, again, you know where to hit us up, hello@trade90x.com. All right. So some of the other things that we're going to look at is, again, I gave you our numbers. I talked about any strategy we back tested, and you have the ability to ask questions, take advantage of it. Now, bullish, here are the odds enhancers. I talked about the only thing that I care about if I'm bullish, I want to see the indices, the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, ideally bullish, both long-term and short-term. I want to see the sectors, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. I just want to go through this, okay? And then I want to see the commitment of trader report, especially on the S&P, which controls 75%. I want to see that bullish. The more that we trade with the power of the market, the higher the probability we're going to have success. I want to see price showing us clear, higher highs, higher lows, momentum into pullback and pause. The pullback and pauses are our entries in bullish momentum. I want to see momentum in the pullbacks and pause, close. Let me just put that at pauses. Close above the momentum band and 10 EMA, which I'll show you on the chart in a minute. And then I want to see the following candles, our entry candles, the following obvious entry, bullish candles, green engulfing, green pin bar, where the wick, let's fix that, wick is 2x to 3x the body, and green dojis. If we see green dojis, then I want to see an engulfing or pin bar follow. Okay, we're clear? And then entry. So our entry is above our entry candle. Now the stop is going to go below either our entry candle or the nearest pivot to the left if we're bullish. And the target, we take the stop and the entry, we measure it out, and I want to focus on where 2 to 1, 3 to 1, and 4 to 1 is. And again, we also then have to think about account size. Okay, this is how we determine our risk. So let's just say, make it easy, $100,000 account. If I'm only risking 0.5 to 1%, I can only risk 500 to $2,000. If it's a $10,000 account, do the math. Again, you can't risk more than say $200 dollars on a $10,000 account. So you just have to then understand that and only work within that parameter. We do not break the rules when it comes to our numbers. Now, bearish is going to be the opposite. We have to see bearish main trend, short-term trend. I want to see the sectors in S&P bearish. I want to see the commitment of trader report on the S&P bearish. I want price making lower highs. Sorry about that. Lower highs. And by the way, you'll have this sheet with that comes along, with the video. So don't worry about it. And then I want to see that momentum into pullback and pause. Again, the pullback and pauses are the entries for our bearish momentum. And again, I'll show you on the chart everything in a minute. We want to see the momentum to pullback and close below the momentum band and 10 EMA. Again, these are odds enhancers. And then I want to see the following bearish candles. Okay, and this is good that I'm typing it with you. I want to see red engulfings, red pin bar. Again, I want to see a shooting star, actually. So when we're short, I want to see a shooting star, not a pin bar. It's basically the same thing. It's just the wick on top, shooting star. All right, shooting star with the wick 2 to 3x. That means we have serious selling pressure. And then if we see red dojis, then we look for that red engulfing or the shooting star. All right, good. All right, so now we're moving along here. And again, I just want to get this down and then we'll go to the charts. Now, the entry is going to be below your entry candle. Stop is going to be above the entry candle or nearest pivot above. Target, take the entry and stop, measure 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. And then again, it has to fit into your risk profile of 0.5 to 2% of what your account side is. And again, when you go through our earn the right to trade live process, you're going to back test and replay this until it becomes second nature. That repetition discipline is the difference between having success and not, because the last thing you want to do is start trading and when you have no clue. You also got to get used to the brokerage firm and really get used to the order entries and things like that. Now, all right, so now that we understand our odds enhancers, and again, remember, I have videos on here. I have every type of video. Like I said, check your Trade90X, know your numbers masterclass. Make sure you also, after every trade, we journal and review. So check out our journal and review edge view masterclass as well. And then also, if you want to build a watch list, if you don't want to use, again, the symbols that we use, and you want to use a watch list, I have a new watch list edge video showing how we break down a watch list, whether it's on the weekend or at the close of each session. All right, so make sure you catch that. And anything you don't understand, hit us up below at trade90x.com. All right, so let's go look at the bullish. Now we know our numbers. We know we don't do anything before we have a proven strategy over a body of work. Here are the bullish and bearish odds enhancers that are going to help us increase the probability. All right, so when we look at the bullish swing trades, now here are the charts that we look at. So let me look at, so bullish swing trades, I'm going to look at a monthly, weekly, daily, down to a 30-minute. And then same thing here. Let me just put on the bearish side right here again, because I'm going to hand this to you. I want to make sure you've got it all. So here we go. And then on the bearish swing trades, we use a monthly, weekly, down to 30, and I'll explain. So here we go. So the first thing I always want to do is we're going to go look at some data. I want to look at the fear ingredient, and everything I show you here, by the way, is free. Okay, so, and I've been doing this every morning, every week for over a year, so this is nothing new. So again, what I'm just trying to do here is I'm just trying to understand the sentiment. And right now, the bulls, definitely, we're still in greed. Next, I want to use barchart.com, go to stocks, market momentum. And what I'm trying to gauge here is over the last month, what is every stock in the market based on the 50-day moving average? And it's showing you the momentum it's above 50, but we're still weak. Now, FinViz, not only is a great tool that I show, when you go to our watch list edge video, you'll see how I do the scanning. See this right here, the heat map. I love the heat map because that day it's going to tell us if we're bullish or bearish, because one of the odds enhancers is the day that we're going to trade. If I'm going to take a bullish trade and the market's bearish, I'm not taking that trade. If I want to take a bearish trade and the market's super bullish, I don't want to take that trade. I want to trade with the power of the market. All right. So next, I'm also going to the group tab right here. And what I'm looking for, since we're swing trading, is I'm looking at 3 month, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day. Now, 1 day doesn't make a trend, but what I look at the 1 day and 1 week, especially the 1 week, when the 1 day and the 1 week are kind of red green, that tells me there's indecision. So when there's indecision, then I'm going to be focused more on our day and scalp tradings. When I take a swing trade, I want to see ideally 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, all green. Why? Because what it's telling me is that we have the power behind us, and the higher the stronger the power, the higher the probability of making a successful trade. Same thing if I'm bearish. So again, if 3 month, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day are all red, then I have a lot of confidence in my bearish trades. Are we clear? So right now, what we have is we still have the 3 month, 1 month. But I'm seeing that weekly, daily weakness. So it's not gonna, we can still do it because the monthly and 3 month, the long term is still bullish. Just understand that short term is going to decrease our probability. Okay. And I can only tell you what I do is when I don't have all the time frames in sync, I'm going to then use a day and scalp trading strategy instead of the swing trading when I don't have all of these behind me. Now, the one thing that's key, critical, and this only comes out Friday at 3:30. So on the weekends, this is when you have to check it. But again, this is going to show us all the main symbols. Now, the S&P is, the indices are my go-to, like NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, and the S&P. But the first thing I really look at, honestly, is I look at the S&P. And the reason I look at the S&P is because it represents 75% of the market. And here you go. And remember, we're talking about banks, institutions, hedge funds. They control 85% of the order flow. So I don't care what CNBC tells you. I don't tell you other people. I give you the facts, not fiction. Whether it's our pre-market weekends, whether it's a lesson, these are the things you need to know and increase your probability. So 83% versus 16% are telling us that it's long. So what you have is you have the odds in your favor that pullbacks can be bought. All right. Next, stockcharts.com, one of my favorite tools for anything I use. And the reason why I like it so much is they've got these predefined things, and I can go from long-term to that short-term with a click of a button. Now, I look at the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, FTSE 5000, NYA, Russell. Those are my go-to because those represent the indices. The indices represent the market. So again, all I care about, long-term versus short-term, are we bullish, bearish, range, or no edge? Okay. What does a bullish bearish range? Now we're talking about swing or position trading. So all I care if it's bullish or bearish. So what does a bullish or bearish momentum order flow look like? And of course, if you trade ranges, then you need to know what a range. Now, bullish is lower left to upper right, bearish upper left to lower right. Ranges are going to be equal highs, equal lows. And with ranges, if that is part of your trade plan, we don't trade the middle of ranges. I fade the edges if we have high probability until price can move back to bullish and bearish momentum. But mostly we're 99% of the time, I'm looking at bullish bearish momentum for swing and position trades. So what we're looking for is lower left to upper right, or upper left to lower right. I'm looking for clear momentum legs into pullback and pauses. Those pullback and pauses is where we're looking for entries in a bullish or bearish momentum. We're clear. Good. Then I can quickly go to the short term. And what I want to see is I want to see the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, FTSE, NYA, Russell, all moving lower left to upper right. Now, if you see what's going on right now, we do have the S&P, FTSE, and NYA. It's upper left to lower right. We are seeing some short-term indecision, but what concerns me is the Dow, NASDAQ, and Russell are kind of sideways here. So we're in a little bit of indecision. So again, it's not that you can't take the trade because you still have long-term, short-term, upper left to lower right. You just have to be aware. And this is where this came in right here, this short-term indecision. So again, these are just data points that I like to look at when I'm going to do any type of trading, whether it's my scalp, day, swing, or position. I do this routine regardless. All right. So now that we understand that, let's go to the chart. So the way that we look at our swing trades, I have a 30-minute on the right. So let me just explain why I have a 30-minute on the right. Now, I have some tools here, and the 30 to 60-minute chart is what we call our faster swing trading chart, and it also acts as our anchor chart for our day or scalp. But here are the tools on it, and it's very important. So here we go. So I have the previous day's high in gray, high, low. This is the yearly. The monthly high, low is in orange. The purple is the weekly high low, and the short term is your previous day's range high, low. You have your midpoint in red. I have the open and kind of open range right here in aqua in this box, and then I have the previous day's close. Now, I am not interested in any swing trades unless we have this. Unless we have obvious bullish, higher highs, higher lows, bullish momentum pause into pullback above the previous day's range high, because that's telling us that we've got short-term bullish momentum. Now this, if we do this, and we have clear lower highs, lower lows with momentum into pullback on the pause below the previous day's range, then I'm potentially interested in a swing trade that day. Now, any day that we're inside the previous day's range just tells us it's a neutral range day, and I would only then consider if it's part of my day or scalp trading. So what these tools do is they're predictive, not lagging. They can be used as entry, stop, and targets, and they quickly tell us if it's bullish, bearish momentum, or a range day. Just understanding that information quickly puts you ahead of 99% of the traders, and it also allows you to look quickly at a bunch of symbols. So, but the first thing, now that you know the 30-minute roll right here, and you can use You can use a 15 or even a 5 minute. It doesn't matter. My goal is I just need to understand if I'm looking to take a swing trade, which this is what we're talking about in this master class, I want to see clear higher highs, higher lows above the previous day's range high and clear lower highs, lower lows. Now, one other thing that's really important, when we do have strong momentum above or below the previous day's range that indicates potential swing trades, we then look at those weekly, monthly, and yearly levels as also potential targets. Okay. So we always start with the S&P. Why? Because it represents 75% of the market. And also, we like to trade S&P, whether it's position, swing, day, or scalp, but we're talking about swing trading here. So this is how we break it down. So any symbol I look at, I start with the monthly. The tools that I have on here, I have this momentum band and I have a 10 EMA. And then also what I like to do is I like to start with line charts. Okay. And this is kind of an area line chart. And also have the 200-day moving average. And again, for me, I'm a very visual trader, and these are odds and ends. If I'm going to take a bullish trade, I want to see a very nice sloping momentum band and 10 EMA. I want to see a sloping 200-day moving average. The more that we see those bands sloping up, the higher the probability for potential momentum to continue. All right, so right now, this is the monthly chart. Now, what I look for is these clear momentum legs into momentum and pause. So if we were looking at the monthly chart, this would be your only setup because we haven't had that clear pullback and pause. So if you were trading a monthly chart, which is more of a position trading chart, that would be my trade right there. Now I go down to the weekly, and again, I do this for every symbol. That's why my list is only about 5 or 10. I trade the same 5 or 10 symbols every day, and I can look quickly at these symbols every single day. So again, our job is to come in. Are we bullish, bearish, or range, no edge context? And you can see we were bearish, we were sideways, but now we're moving lower left to upper right. Here were the areas on the weekly chart. If you were going to trade a weekly chart, potential areas. Now, one of the things I didn't do on the monthly is once I see those momentum pullback and pauses, this is what I like to do. I like to then use the 10 EMA or the band as an odds enhancer, meaning that I'd really like to see the candle close above. If I take a trade that is not above, then that is going to decrease my probability. So right now, if I was going to take a trade right here, the clear momentum pullback pause trade on the weekly chart of the S&P futures right here, again, we're above the 200. We have a sloping momentum band, sloping 10 MA. Here is your momentum pullback and pause. And then you got, remember I talked about the candles? Bullish engulfing, pin bars 2 to 3 times X. Or we have those dojis into the engulfing or pin bars. All right, so there is your weekly. Now, remember, the smaller the chart, the more trades there are going to be. And it's, again, we are definitely not. The only difference is we're not going to hold the trades as long. You got to trade the chart whatever chart that you trade, that's the one you have to really focus on. All right. Now, for me, for my swing trades, I use the monthly, weekly, daily, and then I'll use that 30-minute guide right here to help me. Because remember, I'm not interested in a swing trade that day if we're not above or below the previous day's range. Okay. So first thing I do is I look at that daily chart and I ask the question, where is price? Where is it doing? Is it lower left to upper right? Is it upper left to lower right for bearish, or is it a range? Well, I think you'll agree that we're moving lower left to upper right. Then I identify using these arrows, where has price paused, and then it rejects but it closes above. Now, once I see that, I'm going to put on the candles, and this is why I like to use my area line charts, because I can see really clearly there's momentum pullback and pauses. So the nice thing about using a daily chart, I have some time. So once I see it, then I can switch to candles. And if I get that candle that, closes above, number one, if I have a sloping moving average band, I have a sloping 10 EMA, I get a momentum into pullback and pause with an entry candle that closes at or above. And there we go. So let's look here. So here I have the engulfing candle. Here I have a pin bar candle right here. Here we had a double bottom, and then I have right here the engulfing candle right here. This one I have, now the only thing I don't like about that is the wick on top. And here we have a doji into engulfing candle. Now, one thing I will tell you, the stronger the momentum leg into pull back and pause, the more excited I am. Do you see how right here, let me box this area right here. You see how choppy this is right here? It's kind of momentum. When we get that choppy, I just box the area. I don't want to trade those areas. Why? Because again, these momentum legs, the bigger the momentum leg, right here, a lot of times what we do is we take the momentum leg from the entry candle up, and these actually can provide really nice targets. But again, if you don't have a strong momentum leg, then a lot of times, now it doesn't mean that price can't go higher. It just means that your potential targets are smaller. Okay, so we call those momentum legs. Okay, and I'll put that in the document so you have it. But, so these are our odds enhancers. So let's recap what we did. So the first thing we did is we kind of just went over, we went over what we look for every day in a bullish, bearish range. Again, every process needs to be simple, replicable, repeatable, must have a consistent edge. We do that in the Earn the Right to Trade Live process. I told you what our numbers are, and then I gave you our odds answers on the bullish and bearish, and I'm now showing you the bullish, and I'm going to add what I talked about with the momentum band and the 10 EMA as well. I will add that to the document so you have it. But this is what we're looking for. It doesn't matter what symbol it is. So first thing I'm looking at is we go to the monthly. Take these off. We go to the monthly. I like starting with the area chart in here. And then again, what I'm looking for is, do we have that sloping, momentum band and 10 EMA? Is it making lower left to upper right, higher highs, higher lows for bullish? Upper left to lower right for bearish, momentum into pull back and pause, or are we equal, those sideways range? I don't want to trade this side range in our swinger position. I'm looking for those clear bullish momentum, bearish momentum, and then using our odds enhancers, we want to see those momentum into pullback and pauses close at or above the sloping 10 MA momentum band. And again, being above the 200-day moving average is a definite strong point. So then we again go down, to the weekly. We ask the same questions. Lower left to upper right. We look for those momentum into pullback and pauses, at or above. And then we can go, once we see it in the line chart, then I can identify the potential setup right here. Okay, and then once we move down to the daily chart, same thing. I'm going to go to that area chart. Look at the slope. Number one, are we above the 200-day moving average? Check. Do we have strong momentum band and a 10 EMA? And again, this really helps a lot of traders. And then, do we have the momentum pause and pullback? Yes, we do. And again, I really want to see the ones that close at or above. So we put our arrows here. And again, the other odds enhancer, the stronger the momentum leg into pullback and pause, the higher the probability that trade's going to work. The choppier and smaller the legs, the less likely it's going to work, and then you get stopped. And then the other odds enhancer, once we identify one of these setups, typically as an extra odds enhancer, I really would like to see the price above. If I'm bullish, I want to see it making higher highs, higher lows above the previous day's range. If we have a bearish day, lower highs, lower lows. All right, so then once I see that, we go to candles. Now, if we've got our entry candle, we have, again, remember what I talked about, sloping 200, check. Sloping momentum band and 10 MA, check. Momentum into pullback and pause at or above the momentum band, 200 and 10 MA, check. Do we have the entry candle? Check. So then this is how we would set it up. So the day of, again, is an increased odds enhancer. If we close, we're moving above that previous day's high, that tells us we have bullish momentum. Now, I'm going to use, hold on a second, let me here. I'm going to use our measuring tool. Again, we have to break above this candle, and then I have to be below. Now, again, it's either I want to be below the entry candle, and or if there's a pivot or some kind of a level or moving average. So right here, I'm below the moving averages. I'm giving it some room. And then our 2-to-1. This is why I love this measuring tool. It does it for me quickly. So here would be our first target, 2-to-1. It would be 2.5. It would be 3. And up would be 4. Okay, so this is a fantastic tool that TradingView provides. Minimum 2-to-1. And then, of course, we take our entry down to our stop to then measure, because like I said, our risk, we can only risk 0.5 to 2%. So again, I'm just using it, make it easy. If I'm using a $100,000 account, again, I can use $500 to $2,000 per trade. So as long as that, my stop is that, and how we do that is, it depends. Are you going to trade options? Are you going to trade stock? We would then put on the amount of contracts or stock that fits within that 500 to 200. And then again, of course, when you're in the Earn the Right to Trade Live, we'll be working with you on that in your back testing to make sure you understand, again, that 0.5 to 2% per trade, and making sure that you stay within that, because it's critical that you don't you keep your risk and money management strict. Okay, so that's the tools, and I'll put this, I'm going to add those odds enhancers to this document on bullish. All right, so let's do let me show you a few more. So let's go to NASDAQ. All right, so let's go to that monthly chart. Let's go to the area. There we go. All right, so again, what are we looking for? 200-day moving average is sloping. Yes, it is. Right now, we have the 10 EMA and moving momentum band starting to move up. Then we look here. Are we lower left to upper right, upper left to lower right, or range? We're moving lower left to upper right. Where was the area on the monthly? If you were trading a monthly chart, this would have been your setup right here. And look at that. You got the engulfing candle closing above the 200 momentum band and sloping 10 MA. And again, the more that the band and the 10 MA are sloping, the stronger the momentum is. Are we clear? Awesome. All right, so now let's go to the weekly chart. Again, this is how you do it. You literally again, this is a slower chart, so you're not rushed. So again, you start with your area chart. And again, we look and we ask the question, are we lower left to upper right bullish, upper left to lower right bearish, or a range? Or we can't figure it out. And then I look right here. These were the areas. Again, we have a sloping 200 up, momentum in 10 MA is sloping up, check. Where are the areas the momentum pullback and pauses at or above? And again, I'm just putting areas of potential. Then I'm going to go to my candlesticks, and then we're going to see. So here we had a nice engulfing momentum into pullback and pause at or above. Here you had another momentum, and then you had an engulfing candle right here, and then you had momentum pullback and pause, and then you would have had to wait. But this was a nice candle right here or here. Okay, and now we're getting choppy. So these really would have been the setups based on, again, our black and white process. Okay, now let me do one other one. Let's do I don't know, Nvidia's been hot, so let's look and see what we have here. All right, so I'm going to take this, let me just take this band off right here. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the video. Let's just, again, it doesn't matter what symbol you give me. Again, it either is or it isn't. It's black and white. You have the questions. Okay, and if it doesn't fit, don't try to, put a round circle into a square peg. It either fits or it doesn't. So first question you're going to ask on the monthly, main trend is up. Are we above the 200? Yes. Do we have a sloping 10 EMA and momentum band? Yes, we do. Where are the areas where price had momentum into pullback and pause on the monthly chart? Let's go to the candles, and there you go. So you had a doji into an engulfing, momentum into pullback and pause. You had an engulfing here. Right now, based on the monthly chart, these would have been your only two opportunities. Again, we do not trade unless we have an A set up. All right, so let's go to the weekly. This is how you're going to do it, whether you're positioning or swing trading. Okay, so now let's go to our area chart. Where are the places that price? We had one here. Are we above the 200? Yes. Do we have a sloping 10 EMA momentum band? Yes, we do. Where are the areas where we had momentum into pullback and pause, where price literally closed at or above? So these are potential areas. Then I put on the candles, and there we go. There you go. You had momentum pullback and pause. You had an engulfing candle. Then you had momentum riding. Then we had a pullback here. And then we went sideways. This did not close above, so that would not fit. And then we had the doji into the engulfing. There you go. Those were your setups right there. So these were the three setups. And literally, if you would have put a trend line here, you have the sloping here. You literally are in this trade until it either hits your 2, 3, 4 to 1, or if you break the trend line. So the trend line is another odds enhancer you can use to stay in the trade. Okay. All right, so that's the weekly chart. Now, again, if I want some more trades, I'll go to the daily. Okay, now when I use the daily chart, now the weekly and monthly, just so you know, I don't focus on the 5 or 30 minute as much, but when I'm using the daily chart, I do. All right, so when I use the daily chart, again, what are the rules for my bullish trades? Sloping to above the 200, check. Are we above the sloping momentum band in 10 EMA? And is it a nice slope? Yes, it is. Where are the areas where price has strong momentum into pullback and pauses? Right here, 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 and then here we have kind of a double top here. So I'm not going to be interested in that. And then I put on my candles. All right, so then we look and see. Okay, so here we go. So we have nice doji candles, and there's your engulfing candle. Beautiful momentum pullback doji. There's your engulfing candle, that doji, that's an entry. And then you had the pullback, and that's not a trade because we're below. And then that was your next trade right there. You had double dojis right there. That would have been your entry. And then now you're in a, sideways kind of range right now. And for me, when I see that big red candle, I'm going to be taking profit. Now, the one other major odds enhancer, again, I like to use on the daily chart, when the day we have a setup, when I'm looking for, so like if it's right here, hold on, put right here, double dojis right here. As long as we break above these, and it's kind of what I call like the starter candle right here. As long as we break above, what I really like to see as extra odds only on the daily chart, that we're making higher highs, higher lows, using that anywhere from 15 to 30 minute chart. Are we clear? Excellent. All right, so let's go find some bearish setup trades so we can go look at that. And again, if there's anything, and again, I'll put on those other odds enhancers right here. So when you get the sheet, you'll have it. So let's go look at some bearish trades. Now, what has been, let's go find what has been bearish. Let's see here. Let me see if we have, I want something, okay, here we go. So this is the S&P, just the, let me just get to the monthly. All right, so this is the S&P ETF, and I knew it would because, again, we've been so bullish, but there we go. All right, so this is your S&P monthly. This is the short ETF. So you can see we've been in a long downswing. Let me see something else. That's value. Let's growth. I'm trying to find some good. We haven't had that much. That's why. Let me find something. All right, let's just go to that SDS. All right. So here we go. So we're upper left to lower right. It's pretty obvious. We have this. We're below the 200 right here. We're below the momentum, and look at the slope right there. And every time it has the momentum into pause, those are areas. Let me go to the weekly. You'll probably see a little bit more. There we go. All right, so again, check, look at that, sloping down band, sloping 10 MA, sloping 200, and then again, wherever we have areas that close below, these are going to be areas that I'm going to look for the trades. See, whenever you get this type of trade, can't do anything until it comes back down. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find a symbol. Let me, you know what? Let me check this here. I can check right here on Screener. Let me go here. Oh, Apple, actually. You know what? Apple's been, let's do Apple. Apple's been pretty, you know what? Let me do this. I'm gonna go look for, again, it's been tough to find a lot of short stocks. So I'm gonna go look at, where is the Dow stocks here? Okay, here we go. Amgen right here. So I can look for Amgen. Let's see. Let's go see if that one. I'm trying to find something that really has a nice downtrend so you can see. So Amgen does not. I know here. So if you want to, again, and this is, I do this anyway, but if you want to scan for stocks, you go to the FinViz here, and I did this in my watch list video, but here I'll do this so you can see, so we can find. All right, so when I do my short stuff, I'm looking for the 20-day high or low. I'm going to look for 20 days low. I'm looking for a price over $5, over 2 million, or minimum of 1 million in one volume. I'm going to look at stocks, USA, and also I want to see change from open down. This will tell us the momentum. So here are some potential stocks. There we go. Let's see, BMRN. Let's go see, because I want to make sure we get some good BMRN, and not what it's kind of, that's sideways. So I'm trying to find something that fits. Let's see, CORU. So you can see. All right, there we go. All right, so again, it's the same. So again, the 200-day moving average, are we below it? Yes. The sloping band, momentum band in 10 MEA, do we have a nice slope down? Yes, we do. Do we have momentum into pullback and pauses? Yes, we do. That close at or below the band right here. These would be areas where we have that slope, because then we flattened out, and then back here again. Then I'll put my candles on. And again, we then ask the question, do I have the engulfing candle with the wick on top? Do I have the shooting star with that wick on top? And the wick should be at least 2x of the body. And do I have red double dojis into engulfings right here? And that's it. So these would be areas, again, that we would look for trades. Like right here, I'd be looking for, if that day, again, I'm looking for, I want to be above these wicks right here. I want to be below here. And then again, I'm going to be looking at minimum 2 to 1 as my target one right here. So this trade would have worked out nicely. And this trade actually gave you, before it started really flattening out, gave you your 3 to 1. All right. And then let's go look at the daily chart. Again, remember, the lower the chart, the more trades. All right. So let's go left here. There we go. Good. I'm always going to look at my line charts first. And again, you see, we've had this nice slope down. Yes, we've had some attempts, but every time, double top here, failure. So these are anytime when we have the momentum into pullback and pauses that close at or below, again, use your checklist. Are we below the sloping 200? Check. Are we below the momentum band in 10 MA? Does it have a nice slope down? Yes, it does. Does it have clear momentum into pullback and pauses? Yes, it does. And then do we have the entry candles, the shooting star with wick on top, 2x of the body, engulfing candle right here, or red double dojis into an engulfing or shooting star? And then we would literally just follow these trades. And then eventually you see it flattens out. And then right here, as soon as we got back above that 200-day and we started sloping up, this would have been, then we would have been looking the other way. Okay. And again, once we get back below that 200, then we're have a possibility. And again, one of the other odds enhancers is anytime, like right here. So say we're going to look for a trade here on the day of, I want to see price making lower highs, lower lows below the 30-day moving, the 5 to 30-minute price action using the previous day's range. That previous day's range, these tools that I use on a 5-minute to 30-minute help us quickly determine, do we have bullish momentum, bearish momentum, or range momentum. All right, so let's recap, what we're doing here. So again, we have some tools here that, again, just want to see what's going on under the hood. Fear and greed is still bullish. 50-day moving average is kind of going sideways. The group tab right here, I'm looking at 3-month, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day. Ideally, when all 3-month, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day are bullish, that's going to give us the highest probability. When we have some red green, on the weekly and daily, it could just, like I said, it means that we're in a pause. So it's, again, that's going to be the highest probability when these are all green. If I'm bearish looking for shorts, I really want to see 3-month, 1 month, 1 week day really having that bearish. And again, if we're going to see a lot of red green, then what that tells us, we have a lot of short-term indecision. When there's short-term indecision, I'd rather just day or scalp trade. Commitment of trade report is telling us the long-term, especially on the S&P, 83% bullish for 16. So we know the long-term with the money that controls 85% of the market, it still has a bull bias. And then here quickly, I can quickly look at this, stockcharts.com. I can look at all the sectors and the VIX, which is the things that I look at, and quickly determine the main trend is lower left, up, right. It's bullish. Versus the short term is still lower left, up, right, but we were starting to see some indecision, especially in that Dow, NASDAQ, and Russell. And again, we need to pay attention to that because we definitely have the 10-year and the dollar starting to rise. The VIX is kind of still staying sideways. So as long as we don't see that bullishness from the VIX, we could definitely sustain this. All right. So this is the data part. And then when we come here, going back to the bullishness, again, what we're looking for is I always start with my area chart. Okay. You understand, we talk about it. Again, I talked about the strategy, how we backtest and process to build that replicable, consistent edge. You know the numbers, I gave them to you. You know that what we're looking for is we're focusing on mastering bullish momentum versus bearish momentum. Okay. I want to see all the indices. If I'm bullish, the main trend in short term, I want to see them bullish. That also is that commitment or trader report. When we have those things bullish, those kind of under the hood things, those give us the odds enhancers. Then we're going to go to any symbol that we're going to trade, starting with the S&P. I'm going to go to the monthly. And again, we use our tools, the 200-day moving average, momentum band, and the 10 EMA for bullish. And again, the more that's sloping up, the more stronger the momentum. And then we're looking for those momentum into pause and pullbacks that close at or above. And then once I see it, I go to the candles, and the bullish candles, again, that we want to use at or above is, again, I want to see strong momentum leg into pullback and pause. The stronger the momentum leg into pullback and pause, the higher the probability to trade. The choppier and smaller that momentum leg into the pullback is not as interesting to me. Now, the candles, again, bullish, I want to see strong engulfing, strong pin bar with the wick 2 to 3 times the body, or we see those green dojis into the momentum into pullback. But again, these tools right here will help save you from taking a bad trade. Okay, same thing on the weekly. Start with the area chart right here. Again, use the tools. Are we bullish, bearish, or range? We're bullish, moving left to upper right. Are we above the 200? Yes, we are. Is price now have a sloping 10 MA momentum band? Yes, it does. Where are the areas where price literally had strong momentum into pauses? Right here. Put on your candles. And again, this would really be the A setup right here, right there. There's your A setup right there. Okay, again, this is a really nice black and white process using our tools and odds enhancers. Then again, going depending on what chart you like to trade, whether it's a monthly, weekly, you can even use the 30-minute. As I told you, I'll go there in a second. And again, on the daily chart, again, it's the same thing. Are we bullish, bearish, or range? We're bullish. We're moving lower left, upper right. Are we above the 200? Check. Do we have a sloping 10 EMA and momentum band? Check. Where are the most obvious areas where price is now that we see in this line chart that close at or above the 10 EMA and sloping moving average? Remember, I want those strong momentum legs. This is choppiness right here. Okay, I don't want to trade that choppy momentum legs. Soon as I have that, we go back to candles, and then we can see whether or not, yes or no, do we have the entry candle at or above the sloping average? Again, bullish engulfing, bullish pin bars, dojis into those bullish pin bar right there. And then I showed you the entries and stop. I showed you how to then measure the entry, the stop, to then look at using the measuring tool, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, and then we take that entry and stop, and then that's how we use our 0.5 to 2% to make sure we stay within our risk management, whether we're using options or stocks. And then on the 30-minute, as I mentioned, I'll use this as if I'm going to do a swing trade on a 30-minute, pretty simple. This is what it's going to look like. Strong momentum, higher high, higher low, above that previous day's range high, momentum into pullback and pause. And as long as I have spaced targets, I'm interested. Same thing below. If we're in a bearish market, I'm looking for the clear lower high, lower low, momentum into pullback and pause below the previous day's range. Okay. And that's the way I can use this chart anywhere from a 5 to 30-minute to get in faster. Just remember, though, if you're going to get in off a 5 or 30-minute chart, you're not holding the trade as long, okay? So just keep that in mind. And then on the bearish side, as I mentioned, I think that one symbol was here. Again, it's the opposite. We start with again, the bearish trades are going to work, number one, the best when we have all four indices that are bearish. We have a bullish VIX, okay? And then that puts the odds in our favor to find bearish. Again, I want to use the sectors being bearish. So when we have the S&P and the sectors, so when we have all the indices and the sectors that are bearish, and the commitment of trade report bearish, that puts the odds in our favor for our bearish trades. And then again, the tools that we use are the same, bullish or bearish. There we go. We're going to use the area chart first, whether it's a monthly, weekly, or daily. Let's go to that area chart. And your goal is the questions you're going to ask do we have a sloping 200 and we're below it? Check. Do we have a very strong sloping momentum band in 10 EMA? Check. Do we have momentum into pause and pullback at or below the sloping 10 EMA right there? And yes, we do. Once we do, we put on the candles. And then what are the bearish candles we're looking for? We're looking for shooting star with the wick 2 to 3 times the body. We're looking for engulfing candles like this. We're looking for red double dojis or red single dojis into the shooting star and engulfing. Okay. And then the same thing, money management, 0.5 to 2%, whether you're using options or not. We use the measuring tool right here. Here, if we break below this candle, and then right here, I want to be above the EMA and the band and these two wicks right here. And then again, we measure out our 2 to 1. And this trade gave us 3 to 1 right here. But there was your trade. If it would get above here, you're out of the trade. And then we take that entry and stop to determine our risk management. Now we're going to use 0.5 to 2%. So as I said, if you're using a $100,000 account, you're going to be risking, $500 to $2,000. And then again, depending on your account size. All right. So I will put in there the additional odds enhancers so we understand. But this is the Trade90X, like I said, watch list edge. For again our swing trading. And again, make sure you snapshot this. I'll give you a second to snapshot that. Go ahead. and then snapshot the second part of it right here. And then again, when I put the video, I'm going to have the video edited. I'll update this sheet to have all the odds and answers. So if there's any questions, hit us up at hello@trade90x.com. But again, I like to have black and white strategies. And again, I think I just gave you a great way to, for bullish and bearish momentum, how to do it. And then also, like I said, make sure you watch our journal masterclass, or know your numbers masterclass, and then also watch our watch list masterclass. So then again, if you want to be someone who searches for symbols on a weekly or daily basis, you can do that. Now, we like to, here at Trade90X, I like to trade the same symbols. But anyway, I hope you got tremendous value out of this. Please make sure you like and share this when it ends up coming out. Again, the more the strength of the algorithm, the more that we engage, the more that we're going to put out these great free content. All right. Again, let's be profitable. And again, don't be shy. Hit us up at hello@trade90x.com if you have questions.